Former senior White House advisor and founder of America First Legal, Steve Miller, our great pal. So, Steve, you buy this? I mean, you heard what Harris is saying. I've got more, by the way, just to have some more fun. But you heard her now. Don't come, don't come, don't come. You buy it?
No, it's totally insincere. In fact, it's completely dishonest because, as I'm sure the vice president knows, and we have an even bigger problem, arguably, if she doesn't know, in the first week the new administration took office, they terminated all of President Trump's successful border policies that actually resulted in a secure border, that actually meant people who came here illegally would go home in a prompt and safe fashion. So she can say, do not come all you want. The reality is that smugglers and traffickers, they respond to reality, not rhetoric. And so if people are successfully getting into the country, and they are now in record-breaking numbers, then they're going to keep on coming and coming and coming and coming. What we learned, although common sense would tell you this anyways, is the only thing that drives down numbers is results, is if you come illegally, then you go back home.
So I've got more on this because, believe it or not, an anchor from the mainstream media took Vice President Harris on. It's very interesting to me, Steve. First of all, I give Lester Holt a lot of credit. He may lose his job for challenging the vice president 2 or 3 times in the same interview. Second of all, she hasn't been to the border. Third of all, Steve Miller, she's been a wise guy. You know what I mean? I haven't been to Europe either. Well, the problem's not Europe. The problem's on the border. Right. And it's a big problem. It's an economic problem. It's a legal problem. As you pointed out, it's a drug problem. It's a trafficking problem. It is a gigantic problem. Now, she was in Mexico City, but she didn't get to the border this time. She's still supposed to be in charge of it. What do you make of it? Does she take this stuff seriously?
I mean, imagine saying to, like, the mayor of Chicago, if they never visited the South Side where the crime is happening, saying, oh, you've never been to the South Side of Chicago. And they said, well, I've never been to Montenegro either. Or I've never been to Paris. Or I've never been to Canada. It's not relevant. The border is in our country, Larry. It's our border. Like, it has nothing to do with what foreign countries you traveled. The border's not a foreign country. This is happening in our actual country. This is happening in the United States. These are U.S. communities that are being impacted. These are U.S. cities and towns that are bearing the brunt of this. And these are U.S. children that are getting killed by the drugs that are pouring across. I just think that in a weird sort of way, the part of that comment that nobody, I think, is even really picked at is that she's comparing our border to some, like, far-off, distant place that has nothing to do with us, when it's literally not only part of our country, it is arguably the most important part of our country because it's what delineates us from all the other countries.
I mean, you'd go through that stuff as you have, you know, drugs and trafficking and kids and, of course, law breaking and, of course, the mafia on both sides, the cartels on both sides wreaking havoc. See, the thing that bothered me as much as anything, first of all, again, I want to give Lester Holt credit where credit is due. Second of all, though, Steve, she answered that with that, you know, I haven't been to Europe either business. That is just a snarky, wise guy belittling of what is a huge problem. That's what she tried to do. And I think that's going to prove to be very costly to her politically and perhaps the rest of the administration. Let's move on. I want to ask you about something else, not the technical details, even though you have become a fine economist hanging out with me these last 4 or 5 years. But I do want to talk about the principle of multilateral tax policy, okay, which I thought we had abandoned, and that we had a president who wanted America first, American business and worker interests first. Here's Treasury Secretary Yellen going to the G7 finance ministers in London and coming up with a new tax plan that, Steve, not only is being run through the G7 and the G20 and God knows what else, OECD, but will do great damage to American companies. When you parse through this, it is the American companies that will suffer the most, if not all, of a higher minimum tax and a windfall profits tax. So are we back to multilateralism? Is that the deal?
This is big government globalism. This is a terrifying picture, Larry, into a very alarming future. in which big governments around the world combine to raise taxes and suppress the freedoms of their citizens. You know, one of the basic principles of conservatism, Larry, is the idea that control should be localized nearest the people it affects. So ideally, decisions are made by your city council. If not by them, then by your state legislature. If not by them, you get the point. And ultimately, the federal government. The world government is so far removed from the people it affects, and the people that it impacts also have no ability to control. No American citizen has the ability to control the decisions that are made by the G7 or by any other global body. And so you're removing the taxed from the taxers. And the problem here is that the United States should be in a drive to have the competitive edge. We want to vacuum jobs out of other countries into our countries by lower taxes, right? We want to have a global competition to be more free and be more competitive. And instead, if we're having this sort of economic cartel-like approach, where countries are getting together to make things more expensive and to make economies less competitive, ultimately the big loser in all this is going to be the working guy who has nowhere to run, nowhere to go, and he's just stuck with the higher taxes.
But you know, Stephen, yes to all that, but it's the working folks in the United States. Mind you, the burden of these taxes, now the deals are not done yet. I've talked to a lot of people, sources tell me they're a long way. But the point is what Yellen is striving for, this 15% minimum tax and looks like a windfall profits tax on 10% earnings, which is nothing. But point is, it's mostly American companies. You have an American Treasury Secretary going to an international group to pass tax hikes predominantly on American companies. That's what blows me away.
American companies and American workers
Right.
are going to pay the price. But that's the point. It's President Trump's America First versus what we're now seeing is a new globalist philosophy in action. And I just reiterate that American citizens do not have any vote whatsoever over decisions that are made in these global bodies. So it is fundamentally undemocratic and is obviously anti-competitive. And I fear, Larry, this is just the beginning of much more to come in this area.
Well, we got to whoop it. Now, final point, just quickly, but this is such a horrible story. As you know, you've got this New York City psychiatrist who goes up and gives some, I don't know, webinar, Zoom thing at Yale, and talks about her, I don't know, inner desire to shoot white people, okay? To shoot white people. Now, took a while, but Yale finally disowned it. Now, in the Daily Mail today, there's a big story. She is, she's saying they're making me the problem, this shrink. New York City psychiatrist who told the Yale panel she fantasized about shooting whites claims she was taken out of context, the Ivy League school has it. I mean, she got dead to rights. But she's saying they're making her the problem. And you know what I find? I mean, besides the horrific hatred of this whole episode, which, you know, really just goes beyond, I think, most of the racism we've even seen up to now, killing white people. But any shrink will tell you that if you have a problem or an issue, before you can deal with it, you have to take ownership of it. Now, this woman has a problem. The problem is she hates white people. But she won't take ownership of it. And my thought, Steve, briefly at the end, a lot of people who have taken this, you know, reverse racism, or they discriminate against discriminators, the whole cynical racist jihad that's been going on, they won't take ownership. They will not acknowledge what they are doing. That's my problem with this Yale lady and all the others in that same boat.
No, it's all under the guise of impenetrable, purposely impenetrable language about equity and institutional structural racism and everything else. And reality is just very simple. It's very simple. And you saw it with this execrable, heinous, homicidal comment. It's an insane comment from this person. Critical race theory is about using the power of the government to affirmatively discriminate against groups that the left sees as quote-unquote oppressors. It's pure discrimination, it's pure racism, and it is monstrously destructive, and it has to be stopped if there's any hope of reclaiming e pluribus unum. If there's
Right.
any hope of coming together, critical race theory has to be driven out of this country.
And people like this crazy lady should own it, acknowledge it, own it, and then let's talk about it in all of its heinous aspects. You're right about that. Good word. Steve Miller, thanks, pal. Great stuff.
Thank you.